They say everything's bigger in Texas. Well, not anymore, because the gap between Max Verstappen and the McLaren boys is a lot smaller. Welcome back to Fog Racing. He won the sprint, he won the race. Could he win the World Drivers' Championship race? Well, that is the big question. We'll get into the standings later on, but spoiler alert, it's 40 points between him and Piastri. But yeah, let's get into it. We'll start with the sprint, alright? We didn't review the sprint, but McLaren, right, Zach Brown and Andreas Stella blaming Nico Hülkenberg and Fernando Alonso, and the blame should be pointed at the championship leader because an idiotic cutback, you just can't do that.
Yeah, I think they just try to take the heat off Piastri, especially when you look at the last race and you had Norris hit Piastri, and Piastri honestly acted like a big bitch about that, and then there was a lot of controversy, and I was just made into a bigger deal than it needed to be, and I just think the last thing that McLaren wanted going into this weekend was to have another collision between the two drivers. So yeah, it's easy for them to...
It's insane though. See if Piastri did a switch back on Verstappen and cut across Norris like he did Hülkenberg and Alonso. It wouldn't have got fucking swept under the rug, wouldn't it not?
No.
He'd have been getting bashed, and rightfully so. But obviously those two went out, Alonso went out, Hülkenberg went out. And it's a shame because Alonso and Hülkenberg really good qualifying just to get shafted.
Yeah, it's almost like Piastri thought, I want to stay in front of Norris, so fuck, who cares who's behind me? I'm just going to take whatever line I want. It's like, well, no, you got to... It's not like the only 3 cars on the grid are Verstappen, Norris and Piastri. There's another 17 cars on the grid, and Piastri seemed to completely forget about that.
Yep.
And he tried to...
I mean, it was best case scenario for him because he actually took out Norris, but at the same time, it's opened the door to Max, who got 8 points. Russell finished second. Sainz, we're P3, which has almost just been forgotten about. Hamilton 4th, Leclerc 5th, Albon 6th, Tsunoda 7th, Antonelli 8th. We also had, quite possibly, the worst attempted move I've ever seen in my life from Lance Stroll.
What was he thinking? What was he thinking?
This is a guy that just needs to be dropped. He will never be dropped. I mean, honestly...
It's the kind of move that would get you dropped, to be fair, especially when you're having a bad season and you're under pressure. That's the kind of last straw type manoeuvre that would normally see you kicked out, but of course this guy can't get kicked out. See if
this is like the last lap, right, and you need to win the championship, or you need to win the race, I can almost accept it because it's desperate.
Yeah, but we've never even seen Alonso try this shit on like Petrov back in 2012, or 10 even.
This is like lap 13 in a sprint race for like P17.
Yeah.
So I think when you base it off the circumstances, I think it's quite possibly the worst move I've ever seen because there is no point to it. It was never on, guys. It was never on. Moving into qualifying, Max got pole for Norris, Leclerc, Russell, Hamilton, Piastri. So yeah, that was your top 6 for the race. I think Piastri is beginning to wobble. His pace is completely and utterly fucking nosedived, and to be honest, I think you can always tell, right? If you look at fastest laps, Lando Norris's fastest lap is 9 times faster than Piastri, and you've also got Verstappen like 6 times quicker than Piastri. Both Ferraris quicker than Piastri. Even Russell's fastest lap's quicker than Piastri.
I would say is Norris did pit later than Piastri.
No, he did,
so that gives him an opportunity to set a faster lap, but yeah, 9 tenths a lot.
To finish, 21 seconds off your teammate? To finish 30 seconds off Max? I mean, I think there's the case, right, that Leclerc cost Norris a chance of victory today because throughout the first stint, he held him up, and throughout the second stint, he did a good job as well.
Well, the thing is, Norris always looked like he was going to beat the Ferraris, whereas Piastri, never.
Piastri's probably lucky he even beat Russell.
I mean, Norris for the whole race was hounding Leclerc, whereas Piastri couldn't get close to Hamilton.
Yeah.
In the second Ferrari, so yeah.
I mean, a bit of a boring race, there's no denying that, but for me, I would rather a boring race now to close the gap in the championship than if Verstappen crashed out, because I think most people want Verstappen to win this race, but yeah, not much happened. I mean, in terms of crashes, what happened, Sainz hit Antonelli, kind of ruined both races. And there was a bit of team orders down at Alpine, which I didn't understand. A bit of a mess down there. And yeah, I mean, that was it. Alonso got a point, Berman got 2, Hülkenberg got 8, and I think Bortoletto's went to shite after the summer break. Tsunoda got 7th, which he'll take. But it leaves your driver standings looking like this. So Piastri sits on 346, Norris sits on 332, which is a 14-point gap, and then Max Verstappen sits on 306, so 40 points back to him from Piastri. And I think the championship's pretty much sitting perfectly because it's In terms of the form guide, it's probably in opposite order. Because Piastri's definitely the worst at the top three right now. Norris is second. And
Yeah,
Verstappen's first.
the guy with the points lead is the guy that is least in form.
If Red Bull, right, keep the same pace that they've shown since Monza,
Yeah, but
I think Max has won this.
Yeah, you say that, but I mean, we're talking what one bad weekend for Max pretty much rules him. Like, for example, a Piastri win and a Max DNF pretty much.
Oh no, yes, that to me, yeah.
When you're in Max's situation, you kind of do need to be not perfect, like, but you need to have no mistakes and you need to have like no major errors.
Well, there's no other guy on the grid you'd probably rather right now to be taking them on.
Yeah, now there is question: could McLaren possibly pick a number one? And Piastri says he doesn't think that's going to be the case. I tell you what, let's see if you were McLaren and you were going to pick a number one. I'm not sure you'd go. I know he's got the lead at the moment in terms of points, but I think Norris is the guy that.
14 points is not a gap to pick number one. And also another thing, see this McLaren's are free to race pish. Are they free to race now? Because if they take each other out and Max wins,
yeah.
I mean that's like what? That's 15 points between the top three. Max will be right down their neck. So I don't.
But
think
you say they're free to. I mean, I think they have to be free to race. Let's say in the next race Max is third, then Norris is second, and Piastri's like Norris can't afford to give up 7 points. I know they want to make sure they win the title, but at the end of the day, I mean, Norris and Piastri are both individually want to become world champions. Yeah, maybe the team doesn't care who becomes world champion, but I doubt Piastri's going to be sitting there over the moon if Norris wins the title, and the same with Norris. So both guys want to be champion, and I don't see how we can get to this point and say, oh no, hold possession or don't fight for the title.
Yeah.
The whole point of being a Formula 1 driver is to become a world champion. I don't know how you can get to this stage of the season and tell them not to fight.
And I'm looking at it, man. I just look at the races left and think, I don't see how Max isn't going to. I think the great thing is, I'd say right now we're guaranteed with him. I mean, he's going to at least have a chance at the last race for me. I don't see how he doesn't get it under 25.
Well, it's 40 at the moment. Like I said, one DNF could really.
Yeah, no, one D, absolutely. But without DNFs, I think he's right in there. I wish I had money on him, put it that way. Because I think even at this stage, Ferrari have looked alright. Mercedes are taking points, and that's probably what Max needs. And the fact that Piastri looks the worst at him and Norris, if Max wins, you're looking at like 10 points each race.
Yep.
And that's how you're taking chunks at a 40-point gap. But final prediction, will Max Verstappen win the title?
I think he will. I thought he would win it a few months ago. I still thought he would do alright, and yeah, lo and behold, he's still up there.
I think the gap at one point was 104 points. I don't think we'll ever see that again if that gets overturned.
No.
Kind of reminds me of 2009 where Braun were so far ahead and then Vettel closed it back but never won it. But I would argue, well, I wouldn't even argue, Braun dropped off a cliff. I don't think McLaren have even remotely dropped off a cliff. I think they've just went a wee bit backwards. Anyway, guys, that's it. Max. Super Max. He's done it in Texas. Can he do it this week in Mexico? Let's see. Across the border, Effie.